Yo, we're gonna do a Kraken control deck profile. This is kind of the new or an updated list. Had the last list out like 3 weeks ago or so. I just won locals again last night with this. I won this mat, which is kind of cool. It was 3 rounds. I had 4 rounds recorded. But yeah, I went 3-0. Solid locals. I had to play 1 Sword Soul Tenyi, and then Leer Lust Tri Brigade, and then Leer Lust Tri Brigade. 2-0'd the first 2 matches, and then I had to go into game 3 for the finals. The deck itself, compared to where we started a few weeks ago, definitely a little bit different route. I've kind of replaced some of the like more basic normal summons with a little bit like more interactive cards per se. I was trying out like super polys in the main and opted against that. So this is again like kind of where we're at right now. I said in the last video as the deck progressed, and I kind of kept it updated. I'd throw out another profile. Obviously this one worked pretty well. It is still susceptible to brick hands, just like every other deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! It can happen. But for the most part, I feel like this has gotten a little bit smoother. It definitely operates very well. You can still pump out like very nasty turn 1 boards. I think the additions of like the Torrentials and Strikes though that you'll see definitely helps break boards. Those are both very good cards still going second. So yeah, I bet we can just get kind of into it, but let's just see what the ratios look like a little bit more now. To start out, so we are still 40 cards in the main. That's not changed, but we did drop Beautiful. She is now played at 2. She's a great summon, but I don't believe she's needed at 3. I think 2's been working out fine for her. If you draw the 1-for-1, obviously try and pop her out before using Desires, but she has been cut down to 2. I wonder if I can just do that. Probably make it a little bit nicer. Yeah, we'll do that. We are playing 1 Sea Nettle still. I do like the value in this card, being able to recycle any of your resources, like super late grindy game if need be. I found out like with Cook, if you're sitting there just waiting on him trying to deck then your opponent out, and for whatever reason they have something that can cycle cards back into their deck, you also have this. But again, that's like a very, very niche instance, but more times than not, like being able to put back, keeping Toads in grave is actually good in this deck. So I mean, obviously being able to put back like your Bahamut's and whatnot, but having, getting both of your Toads in graveyard is fucking phenomenal, because when they pop your Kraken, and you are able to bring out Kraken spawns, you can attach both Toads to each of the Kraken spawns if you don't have right-hand Shark, and that way you are just gaining insane value from whenever those Toads hit the graveyard again. So obviously being able to recycle is fine, but like keep your Toads in your graveyard, because if you bust out Kraken spawn and then start attaching that, like you're just going to value town like crazy. We are still playing 3 Remora. I am really liking this card. Obviously, yes, it plays you into Nibiru, but make the fucking Toad before you make 5 summons, and then the Nibiru really doesn't matter. But yeah, this card's just a powerhouse. Obviously being able to put 3 bodies on board with 1 card, and it's not once per turn, so it's definitely a phenomenal extender. 3 Nimble Angler, I'm sorry, Silent Angler, solid extender. It's a fish. I was playing, I think I dropped it down to 2 at one point, or maybe even 1, but it's definitely, I'm liking it at 3. It does what it's supposed to do consistently, and it's just a body on board. The 1 right-hand Shark, this card fucking slaps, honestly. Like, I mean, it's very, I don't even know what the word is that I'm looking for. It just works very well. Like, it has great synergy with the deck. It keeps on putting a body on board if you need be. And then just the destruction effect is so clutch. So, I mean, you probably could bump that up to 2 if you genuinely wanted to. I'm still rocking 1, but it seems to be working out quite fine for how easily accessible it is. And then, obviously, the 3 Buzzsaw Shark. This needs to be a super no TS pack. This needs to be a super no TS pack. And that's all I have to say about that. For the hand traps, 2 Nibiru and 3 Ash. So I think this works pretty all right. Obviously the Nibiru is, I still think it's pretty impactful this format. It seems to be floating around quite a bit, no pun intended. Ash, still incredibly solid. I don't think I'm going to change the hand trap ratio at this point in time. It seems to be working out pretty decently. For the spells, we're playing 1 instant, 1 foolish, 1 called by, 1 1-for-1, and then 1 Fury of Kairyu-Shin. So these are all just the one-ofs. Instant Fusion obviously is for rare fish. I did take out the Ready Fusion. Just doesn't seem like it's, I don't know, I had to make space for something, and this is just a great one-card extender. Foolish is flippin' phenomenal when paired with White Mirror. It gives you access to any card you need in your deck. Obviously, being able to send the right-hand shark whenever and getting early access to that's cool. You can send Nettles if you really need to, but more times than not, you're just using this to get immediate access to right-hand shark. So it acts as an extender, but also with White Mirror, I mean, if you want to pitch like any card in your deck with this and then add it to your hand with White Mirror, that also gives you that ability as well. So that works out kind of cleanly. Cold by the Grave, still dummy thick, 1-for-1 for getting out the Beautiful. This is essentially your third copy. This motherfucker, this is fun, being able to add Torrential Tribute and then being able to protect your water monsters. The two Torrentials, and this is what I cited out for Super Polys, or I'm trying out instead of Super Poly. One Super Poly requires you to discard a card, and you have to have Kraken out for it to be alive, because it turns everything into waters, and then you're able to go into Mud Dragon of the Swamp. But that's just like very conditional. Good in theory, but just not as optimal in practice. Whereas Torrential is just always live. You can blow shit up whenever. You don't have to discard a card, and it seems to be having pretty good impact. The reason I really like this card, though, is because when you activate it, you are getting just to blatantly search Torrential Tribute. So now you're putting your opponent on having the knowledge of you having Torrential Tribute, and they have to play through it yet, which can kind of change up like their play style, or, I mean, sometimes they just have to blow through it, but it's a fun like mental dynamic that it adds. And then obviously if you set one, they're really focusing on that, and if you have another TT or strike or something set, they're just not acknowledging it as much. I think that's how it appears to be going so far, but it seems to be working pretty flippin' well. I wouldn't say you have to play this by any means, but like I said, this is kind of my third copy of Torrential in a sense, so you can search it, and I do like the mental dynamic it puts. We're still playing 3 Pot of Desires. Drawing 2 cards is still good, believe it or not. 3 White Mirror, again, just the Monster Reborn and add to hand. I think last time I was playing 2 of this and 1 Monster Reborn. White Mirror, I think, is just working out quite better, especially with the Foolish Burial. It seems just to, I mean, 3 White Mirror seems to be working out quite all right. For the traps, still 3 Gozen. This card's Sicky Narnar, being able to just waterlock your opponent out of anything and everything. This deck can definitely have a slow start, but I mean, just like most control decks, I mean, you think of like Altergeist, Eldritch, anything, like even Paleozoic, obviously slow start, but the more momentum it starts to gain, like the floodgates really just push this deck through. 3 Imperm, and then, I guess it doesn't really matter the order, but obviously the 2 Torrential. I wonder if I can line that up a little bit, that's fine. And then we have started playing, obviously, you've seen the replays, 2 Strike, and then the 1 IO. IO definitely does not deserve to be on the list. This card is just a shutout in so many games that it's beautiful. Like, obviously, when it's getting flipped against you, it's the worst feeling in the world, but then when you're flipping it on someone, you total Chad. But yeah, this is the main deck as of right now. Seems to be working. I mean, so spells, I mean, 1, 2, 3, you're 1-for-1, Foolish, and Instant Fusion all act as extra extenders. Your White Mirror is an extender as well, so there's 6 extenders there with obviously Remora, Angler, so that's essentially 12, give or take, with right-hand sharks. So I mean, again, the deck, I think I've got it ratioed out a little bit better. We've taken out the Lantern Sharks, and 1 Beautiful. Again, I don't know my exact deck list from before, but yeah, this is what we've moved to now. Adding 2 Strikes and 2 Torrentials definitely ups the trap count a little bit. But again, very happy with how the deck's been performing. Obviously, you got 1 shitty brick hand every here and there, but the deck can definitely weasel its way out of some finicky positions. So very happy with how it's going so far. Obviously, if you guys have any suggestions, comments, you like it, hate it, let me know. But this is the bread and butter as of right now. Definitely a little bit different from 3 weeks ago, so I can definitely say that there has been some progress, if any. I'm liking how the deck plays. Haven't gotten bored with it completely yet. That typically happens once you've played the deck into a ground and you've done like every variant you can think of. But no, as of right now, I mean, when I first started playing the deck, I was struggling with like Sword Soul, Tenyi, and a lot of the meta like Leaderless Tri Brigade. But obviously, the more you play it, the more comfortable you get with it, and you're kind of I feel like I'm really starting to learn how to navigate it around decks at locals. I don't know if I would, you could probably take this deck to a regional and slap some people around with it. I don't know if I would consider it like the most competitive by any means. I'm definitely trying to push it to that spot, but I'm still putting this deck on like the tier 2.5-ish range, tier 2. Definitely good for locals, but I don't know if this really has the, I don't know. Don't listen to me. Don't let your dreams be dreams. If you think you can win regionals with this deck, fucking do it. I still have to win a regional with trains before I can do anything else. Extra deck, 2 Kraken, 2 Motor Kraken. You could, again, I still think that these are the ratios. You can probably play 1. You can try and drop this down to, again, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, but I don't think that this needs changed, I guess, in my personal opinion. I think I'm pretty comfortable with the 2 and 2. I definitely like having the second Kraken a lot. I don't know, it's just such a sticky card and shitty to deal with, and I mean, people will use enough resources or a few cards to get rid of the first one, and if you're able to drop a second one late game, by all means. And a lot of times you might be putting up like your Double Toad and F-Zero board, so you're not even using this guy until later, but I mean, if you can pump out like double Kraken and Gozen, you should be also fine, but still 2 and 2. 2 Sharks and 2 Toads. I think that's relatively self-explanatory. One of the cards I've been flirting around with, and someone threw it in one of my comments, so I can do Honor Arc, and I played Honor Arc last night, and it ended up winning me a game. So this card's a blast from the fucking past. I remember playing this like in wind-up format, or like, so I don't know, whenever the Legacy of the Valiant, which came out, geez, I don't even remember. But anyways, super old card, but it allows you to go into Zeus Place, which is kind of nice. You take one of your opponent's monsters, attach it underneath, and then if this attacks or whatever, you can slap Zeus on top of it. But it does out kind of some finicky cards. Dweller is another card that I used to be playing. I just felt like I was never going into Dweller, even though it does allow you to OTK incredibly well. This is something I'm trying out instead of the Dweller. But again, that's what testing is all about. 1 Cook, I finally got this fucker in. This card is a meme. This card is like absolute Chad stat. I don't even know, like this is the most alpha card in the deck. It's unaffected by all the card effects if it's the only card you control, and then you slap right hand shark underneath of it and it can't be touched. If that's not making sense to you, then go watch one of my Tri Brigade their Lusk replays, and you can see it because it's hilarious. Your opponent has to be able to attack directly, do piercing, or kaiju this essentially. Obviously, there's other ways that you can think of, like Exodia, you can try and finesse, but it takes a very, very wonky win condition to get around this, or you just have to have something accessible. And a lot of decks just get caught off guard, and I'll kind of break it down into what some other utilities of this card are. Still playing the Vespanado. This card allows you to Remora a lot easier. It gives you an extension to do damage over piercing. If it's destroyed, it still summons back, but this card does have quite a bit of utility in this deck still, so I have not seen a reason to cut this. For the Utopic package, 1 F-Zero, and then Draco Future, and then Zeus. So Future is still probably the best boss monster of the deck. I mean, once this hits field more times than not, you're probably going to win the game. It's an absolute, like it's just a pain in the ass to deal with. 1 Zeus still, again, if you find room for the second Zeus, you could probably play 2 Zeus, but 1 seems to be working out pretty beautifully. And then the 1 Rare Fish, just for the instant fusion target, but kind of got the extra deck. I know that this, like, this was Dweller, and then I think this was the Muddy Mud Dragon last time, and that's essentially the only thing that's changed. But Muddy Mud Dragon was a little bit more situational. You can still use it as an instant fusion target, blah, blah, blah. But I'm really just trying to figure out how to make every card in my extra deck like as optimal and live all the time as possible, as opposed to just having like situational cards that, you know, seem good in theory, but just aren't allowing you to make as competitive or like the most optimal plays all the time. So extra deck as of right now, again, running pretty smoothly. I think we've got it dialed in a little bit better, but again, we'll keep you guys updated as it gets better. But I don't know, like Dweller's like the only thing that I'm kind of like running through my head, because obviously like being able to hit the Phoenix Enforcer, like if you can somehow get Dweller out and stop the Phoenix, like that's huge. But, or even like the Rhapsody, the Berserk guy. It's a rank 4. You can detach a material from him and banish a card from your opponent's graveyard, and you can do that up to twice per turn. I have one of those. I've not tried him out, but that is another card that, I mean, if you're trying to think of like something techie, it is a rank 4 deck, so you have a lot of options in terms of what you want to play. But Rhapsody Berserk is another one that I've been flirting around with in terms of just utility in the extra deck. So for the side, we are totally being a cuck, and this is for the Crooked Cook. If you know that you're going like first game 3 or game 2, I guess, depending on like what your matchup's looking like, this is your fuck you win condition. You simply just get to Crooked Cook. And also, like, keep in mind, like, you have to know what your opponent's playing and like think about what options they are. If you know that they're playing kaijus or something that has like piercing damage or that can attack directly, do not go for this. Like, this is definitely like a cheese win con, but it can definitely catch people off guard and will give you like an easy win. Also, all you're doing is simply getting to the Crooked Cook. So like if you're going first, you simply just make like a buzzsaw and get out the right-hand shark, whatever it is you got to do to get right-hand shark under this guy, and you put him in defense position, and you just sit. And you either deck your opponent out, or you draw all 5 pieces of Exodia, or they find a way to get over that, and then you're put in a really fun position, like where you actually have to play the game, which is what I did last night. But again, it's pretty stupid. It's definitely very memey. Like, these could be 5 more cards that are way more optimal for your extra deck, but at the same point in time, like, I drew 4 pieces of Exodia on a guy over the weekend, and then he decked out, but I almost got to say that I drew Exodia against someone. So from a competitive standpoint, I would not go for this, but also from like a big dick energy standpoint, like, yeah, 100%, because it's a fucking card game and have fun with it. Excuse my pleb, rarely I need to get like German factory misprint error Exodia pieces so I can actually be cool. We're gonna leave him out because I don't know when the next time I'm gonna have a deck profile that fucking has Exodia, and it's going to be, so we'll just keep him bumping. For the rest of the side, 3 Lancia, just because it still has pretty good impact to this format. The 3rd Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and then this is like very easily shaping up to be like one of my favorite cards ever, this format. I've never really, I've had Evenly since it's came out, and I think I've maybe played it every here and there, but I've not been huge on this card. And this format, it is blowing people out of the fucking water, no pun intended, part 2. And it's just working phenomenally. So Evenly Match, if you're not playing it, fucking put that shit in your deck. And then 3 Cosmic Cyclone. That's kind of the only back row removal that we're playing. Obviously Mystic Mine, and it's just a generic enough card that I still think it's solid. Yeah, that I'm looking at right now, this is just the most whack-ass side deck I think ever, but it'd be like that sometimes. So everyone, thank you so much. Again, I went 4-0, I guess like 3-0 technically for the tournament last night, but had 4 matches and won all of them. So the deck is running, like I said, quite smoothly. I'm definitely getting the build a little bit more properly tuned. I think it's fairly optimal. I mean, like I said, I definitely check out other people's profiles and see if there's any spicy text or anything that I'm missing, but definitely trying to go for like consistency more than anything, and just being able to, again, it's a rank 4 deck, so it's not like it's rocket science by any means, but just trying to figure out like what the proper extenders versus like interaction and interruption is. But again, thank you guys for enjoying the video. I'm at like over 900 subscribers now, which is really cool because I've been doing this for a little over a year, I guess like 2 years now at this point, and the fact that we've almost hit 1,000 subscribers is really cool. So I appreciate everyone, you know, interacting with the channel. It's cool to see like the little community that we've got popping off here. So by all means, guys, pat yourself on the back because you stayed with me this long. So all I want to say is thank you, and I will catch you guys later.